welcome to Victory Points. I'm Becca Scott.
And I'm Jake Michels. This is a podcast about people who love tabletop games, interviewing people who love tabletop games about the tabletop games they love.
Jake, you did such a good job with the tagline.
Yeah, I added the extra challenge of reading it from your laptop across the table, too.
That was impressive.
Yeah.
This is why people should watch the YouTube version if I ever put it up. Anyway, this week our guest is Chelsea Schwartz. Chelsea is the founder of High Voltage Magazine. It's a nerd culture publication and events company that's been a part of the cultural scene since 2003.
Yo.
In addition, she produces tabletop events throughout Southern California and produces scavenger hunts at Disneyland. She co-curates a Scene at Disneyland Instagram at Disney Observer. You wear so many hats. You are known as the Mad Hatter because of all those hats you wear. So we'll just leave it at that. Chelsea, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so
excited
glad
to be
you're
here.
All right. Now, today we're going to talk about something you're very passionate about, which is connecting people with their tabletop tribe and how to find that tribe wherever you might be, as well as some games you love, specifically Disney's Villainous, because
Whoop, whoop.
Disney's your jam, and Tanto Cuore by Japanime. And then if we have time, we'll talk about another fun push your luck game, Push by Ravensburger. And so that's our topic preview section.
That was great.
Can you tell us about world news?
You want me to fill you in on world news?
If
right
you could
now?
fill me in, too, that'd be great.
Well, what?
Yeah, Jake, go.
Well, at the time of this recording,
Yeah.
Bob Mueller just made a fine, I guess, statement. It was cool. That
Yeah,
was more
and
relevant.
also The Handmaid's Tale is real.
Are you referring to the abortion laws?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The Handmaid's Tale is real now. That's the latest update.
No, I meant the bullet point I have put in our outline, which is everybody.
Tabletop
Origins 2019 is coming up June 12th to 16th. If you're in or around the Ohio area, head on down to Columbus, get your tickets, and go to some convention center that's probably there. Chelsea, are you going?
I'm not going to Origins this year, and I'm a little sad about it. It's so much fun.
You've been in the past?
I have been in the past.
What's your favorite thing about what makes that con distinct?
I mean, Origins and Gen Con, both of them are just like a mecca in the United States for gaming. I was like, and if you're a tabletop fan, getting to see all of the new things coming out, getting access to promo cards you might not get elsewhere, and just meeting people that love what you do. There's nothing better.
Yeah, any board game focused con is always the best time ever.
Would you say which ones are the big boys or the big girls or whatever, respectively?
The big kids on the
big
playground.
kids. Yeah. So Origins is definitely one. Gen Con's one. What are the big board game cons that we
You
would
just
all
named
agree
them.
on?
Yeah,
Okay,
you
those
literally
are the
named
two.
them. There's
There's a lot of medium-sized ones too, but
Well, then there's also Essen, but in Europe.
Well,
yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Spiel, which means play in Essen, Germany. I went for
Yes.
the first time last year, and I was invited this year and cannot make it, and I'm very sad
I'll
about
go
that.
for you. That's fine. Just
We should talk. All right, so that was the news.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Also, women don't have control of their own bodies. Okay. Just a couple.
little side note.
It's just a thing that's always on my mind and making me angry all the time. But I'm a happy person, so we'll talk about games.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Chelsea,
Yes.
can you tell everybody more about High Voltage, what it is, what it does, where they can find it, why they should find it?
Absolutely. High Voltage started in 2003, actually primarily as a music magazine. And we actually were a print magazine for more than 10 years. In the final 3 years of it, I switched to being a nerd culture format because I just realized I'm a nerd and I want to talk about more things than just music. Although I still love music, it is my first love. And so we opened up the format and we ended up putting the print issues on an indefinite hiatus. We hope maybe one day to bring it back. It's just everything's in the digital space now and nobody wants print and advertising wants to go digital. And so now we've got our website, we have a YouTube, we have a podcast. You can go to iamhighvoltage.com and find links to everything, including our social media. And that's pretty much why we do it and where you can find it. I especially just really love being a nerd. You know, and I was like, that's literally what it is at the end of the day. And I want to share that passion. I'm one of those people that prefers to just do what you love for a living. I don't understand how people can like have a job in accounting that they hate and just get through it every day. Like I want to share my passions with the world, and then I want that to inspire other people. And that's why High Voltage is there.
Hey, don't feel bad if you work in accounting. You got to pay the bills. We get it. But
I mean, some people are
also,
passionate about accounting. I'm just not.
I'm passionate about spreadsheets, so I can understand. I want to talk about that moment you mentioned 3 years ago that you switched from being music focused with High Voltage to coming out in your full saying we are nerd culture now.
Right.
And was that part of a personal transformation to be more outwardly nerdtastic as well?
I think it was a little bit of everything. I came from music industry. I toured with various rock bands for most of my life, and I
Name the biggest one.
Oh my God. I mean, I worked with The Killers. I worked with The Darkness was my favorite tour that I ever did.
Yes!
Those boys are amazing.
Is that the right band?
Yes, that is them.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
I also was really close with Imagine Dragons, and I toured with Miley Cyrus, and all sorts of amazing things.
Wow.
Becca's mind blown right now. Like literally.
Breathe, inhale.
It's okay.
There's a Twitch streamer named the Asian Avenger, David Wen, and he's said his band used to tour with Imagine Dragons, and he plays a lot of Magic on Twitch. Anyway, side note.
All right then.
You guys would be friends, I guess.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
probably were on the same tour at some point.
Maybe. You cross paths with a lot of people when you're constantly touring the world. So
crazy.
I crossed 30. And then I was like, I want to live somewhere and plant roots. And like, I started to just connect more. I went to my first San Diego Comic-Con. So this was about 7 years ago. And then I just was like, oh my God, look at all these people in the exhibit hall dropping like thousands of dollars on limited edition stuff. And I was like, and I got so excited about everything happening. And I was like, I want to do this. And that's kind of where the decision came from. And I was there with two of my other staff members at the time, and all of us were just having the time of our lives. And before that, South by Southwest was always our favorite thing. And so we were like, oh my God, now we have South by and Comic-Con to look forward to every year. And we wanted to be able to talk about it. So we reformatted, and that was 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, that's a real reformat too. Like you weren't dabbling in nerd stuff back then either. It was pretty much purely music
it was
too,
purely
right?
music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big endeavor.
Yep.
That's great. And it feels good.
It feels really good.
Right on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your staff, which is such a cool term to say, my staff, because I was cruising through the staff page of the High Voltage website, and it is mostly women.
Yes.
It's super dope. Was that on purpose, or that sort of
No,
happened?
it just naturally happened. Fun fact, when High Voltage started in 2003, I started with 7 other women as my partners that were just my close friends. And then naturally over like 5 years, everyone was like, I want to be a doctor or something that just pays a lot more money than,
than print media.
And I just became left with High Voltage because I was like, well, I still want to do this. And then all the other people that naturally just kind of fell into place ended up primarily being women, which was kind of crazy and cool.
Yeah. What's that environment like, and what's it been like at being women's voices in the nerd culture world, which there's often not enough of? Is that something that is sort of a mission of High Voltage? Or
It's not a mission. It's not anything we even consciously think about. And it's really funny because I've been around so many empowered women my entire life that I never noticed the little struggles that we have, or like how much harder it is for us to like get certain places than men get. I was like, and every now and then I'll meet somebody from a different outlet that'll be male, and I'll be like, how did you end up getting that contact at Paramount? And like, you just start to realize that there's a little bit of a separation, but it's never bothered me. I've always been a person that doesn't believe in the word no. Like, to me, it's not now, or something better is coming. Like, you know, like I just keep pushing forward.
Yeah, you definitely do. And that's something that we've just met a few times before this, but, you know, keep up on social media. And I'm always impressed by how much you do and how much you take on.
Yes.
You just seem to always be everywhere and thinking of everything. It's very impressive.
Thank
That's
you.
not a question. It's just a compliment.
I appreciate that. And in return, I actually feel the same way about you.
Oh, that's sweet. I feel exhausted all the time.
Oh, so do I.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we hide it well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ask my next question
Ask
for
your next
me.
question? Well, so actually, I kind of want to like.
You ask your own question.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just one person.
Do you have
here.
any compliments to give? Or?
Yeah. You know, I'll take all of the compliments. It's
Let
just
me get that doc up. Well, actually, yeah, I want to talk about more about like what it's like kind of switching formats. Like that still kind of fascinates me in terms of like breaking into the nerd culture a little bit.
It was definitely a shift because when I first was like, okay, we're going to talk about TV and film now, and you'd reach out to like NBC, they'd be like, you don't have anything on your site that's about this. Why should we give you anything?
Yeah, so it's fascinating to me that you can kind of just do a whole shift there. And also I think it's relevant to people who might be wanting to get into this from a fresh start. So what was your experience, or like what's it like?
I mean, there was definitely some hurdles, but it just didn't stop us. So at the beginning, it was like, okay, so we don't have the content. You want to see that on our site. And one, cheers to you for going to my site and actually making sure that it was a right fit. Like I thought that was impressive. So then we were just like, okay, we'll write some TV recaps without getting episodes in advance. We're just going to write them in real time as soon as we watch with the rest of the world and get it up as quick as possible. And then after we had a couple of those, we started to show, okay, yeah, so we don't have the content, but see, we're building it. And then they were like, okay, we'll give you a try. And because of our experience as journalists for all of the years before that, everybody just started to go, oh, this is high quality content. Yeah. And it was a lot easier for us.
See, that's what's fascinating to me is that like, I'm not saying that's not a lot of work. You did a lot of work for that, but it's like, it's kind of a simple process in that like you do it and you just do it. Like you go out and you write it the night of. You don't think about how good it needs to be. You just start doing it and you trust in yourself and your instincts and go for it, right? Yeah. I like how that can
build
just
the
produce
confidence.
Yes, yeah. And you earn the confidence as opposed to like needing to find it first. Like the needing to find it first seems to be a real block in the creative process. And I like that you just dive in and don't worry too much, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's where people get hung up is people like you just say, I'm going to do it and then it'll happen. But people think the hardest step is just doing it.
Taking that first step is really hard for a lot of people. There's a lot of self-doubt and people are in their heads often about like, am I good enough? Will people care about this? And you can't worry about it. You just have to do it.
And some people won't care, and that's fine. There's always haters, you know?
Yes.
And
hate is gonna hate.
Yeah, and it's part of just saying, I don't care. I'm going to do the thing, and you can like it or not like it, but I like it. Yeah. So that's on you.
Not only is there
mic drop.
I mean, I like that too, but I also like the fact that sometimes we are the haters of other things too, and it's also we should also take that attitude of I don't care, because like if you let something bother you a lot in a certain way that doesn't have to, like your appreciation of a fandom or like your analysis of someone else's work, why are you letting that bother you? So like you shouldn't care either too much, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I remember why I paused for a long time. We talked about something that is so impressive right before we started rolling, which is, tell me how old you were when you first started working as a professional journalist.
I started writing for Teen People magazine when I was 14.
Yeah, that's great.
And then from my credit at Teen People, I also started writing for a regional Texas newspaper, and I started writing for Just Push Play and Starstruck magazine, which were online magazines at the time, and yeah.
So I think that's another parallel example. I'm assuming you didn't need to go to journalism school because you were already a journalist. Nope. And not to poo-poo on school. I'm just saying.
I still went to college. I went to college for audio engineering, actually, so I could do things like we're currently doing.
Right on.
Oh, Annalise, you got a little competition here. Watch out. Chelsea's.
Oh, no. Annalise is weeping in the control booth. No, she wasn't being serious.
That's amazing. Why audio engineering?
I've always been fascinated by soundboards. My dad was a musician growing up. I spent a lot of time in studios, and that big, impressive analog board, now you have these little digital boards, but that big studio board, I used to just be like, what do the buttons do? I want to push one.
Yeah, that was the closest thing we got to the bridge of the Enterprise when we were kids, right?
Absolutely.
Was that board. I know what you're talking about.
Very much so. All right. Let's segue over to this topic I wrote down.
That was your best segue yet. Oh my gosh.
Wait, do you want to talk about gaming on a show that's kind of about games? Is that no?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
I want to talk about the community that you game with.
Okay.
And not particularly
my game,
you game
but
with.
That I'm building.
Yeah. What is your philosophy on how people can find their tribe?
So I started doing tabletop events or board game nights, however you'd prefer to call them, themed parties, if you will, even, because I was a nerd that had a stack of board games and nobody to play with. And then I met who is now my best friend, Will, and he had a larger stack of board games, still shrink wrapped, and nobody to play with. And I went, there has to be so many people like us that are like this. And I was like, we should give them a place to come and make friends and play board games. And I also I get really frustrated that everything happens behind a screen now. You know, everyone's watching something on YouTube, they're on their phone, they're on their laptop, they're staring at the TV. And the importance of human connection is, I feel like, highly underrated and very necessary for mental health. And I wanted to just start getting people out of their apartments and doing something fun. And it was, board games are a great way to break the ice and bond with people. Even if you're highly competitive, still fun.
Very much so. And it's called Players Wanted is what you name your game
Yes.
as, right? And you have crazy themes. There's, you just did a Grease theme not that long
Well,
ago.
we're doing that at the end of June 24th, actually.
Yeah, future time. I can read dates.
Yeah, dates are fun.
How does one do a Grease-themed board game night?
So we're going to feature Welcome To from Deepwater Games.
Yes, we
which
just
is
talked about it.
Like, it's a nice, like, retro-looking game set in the 50s. I was like, so it works. All of our theme nights, how they work is that every Monday night at Scum and Villainy Cantina here in Hollywood, we pick a theme. We encourage people to dress up. If you dress up, even for us, dressing up, it could be a T-shirt. You can wear a baseball cap. You can be in full cosplay.
Thank you.
That's dressing
I really
up.
appreciate that.
Yes.
As a guy who struggles to dress up for some of those events.
Absolutely. I was like, as long as you've made any effort, like a button on your shirt, you get an extra
Great.
raffle ticket for that. We do.
That's nice, but I don't agree. I'm going to be the counterpoint here. Go for it, Jake. You're an actor.
This is why
I'm
I don't
an
come
actor
over
too,
anymore.
and I'd rather.
Costume.
I'm an actor. I like dressing up when I'm on set. I hate dressing up outside of it.
I'm not afraid to, or in no shame in others who do. It's just more like it's an effort I don't need to go through, and I also don't want to wear a costume when I'm playing games.
Right? Like, I just want to be comfortable.
Yeah, I want to be comfortable.
Yeah. I was like, but we have plenty of people that love dressing up, and they only get to do it at Comic-Con, and they like to have
Sure.
other places to do it.
Yeah,
And
that makes sense.
Now they've got a regular spot too. So you get an extra ticket for dressing up. We have themed drinks. I curate a playlist that relates to the theme. So obviously Grease will be like mainly like the soundtrack, and then 50s and 60s jams, you know? And we give away raffle prizes every hour, and the raffle prizes consist of the stuff like board games, but also things that relate to the theme. So recently we did a Pokemon night, and Warner Brothers was kind enough to send us a bunch of Detective Pikachu ears that light up.
Oh, cool.
So we gave away a bunch of light up Pikachu ears, you know, stuff like that.
And for Grease, you're going to give away a Thunderbird.
I wish.
No?
I wish. If there's somebody out there that would like to give us a Thunderbird to donate and give out,
You hear that,
I
Warner
mean, we'll take
Brothers?
it, you know?
Okay. Who's got them T-birds they're not
who's
looking
got
for?
Grease lightning?
Whose daddy's going to give away a T-bird? That's a song lyric, right?
Where my pink ladies at?
Right here. Rizzo all the way.
Nice.
Oh, the ultimate rebel.
I
You
feel
know?
like Sandy.
Sandy.
Sandy was trying pretty hard at the end, though.
She was.
Sandra D.
Yeah. She looked great in those leather pants, though.
Oh yeah, she did.
Wasn't it true she couldn't get those on? Like they actually had to like sew them onto her.
I've never heard that. I kind of want to look that up now.
Very
yeah,
true. Yeah.
I think they did.
That's how I'm
Somebody
going to start
fact-check me on
applying my
that.
pants. We all put our pants on the same way, sewn on by professional costumers.
By little mice, right? Like Cinderella.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. I need some of those mice.
Yeah.
Okay. What is a meta game for one of these events?
Ah, yeah. So we've gotten in a habit of like, okay, so we have board games. And then occasionally once a month we do D&D one-shot sessions, which are related to the theme. And I was inspired by a game called Pretense from AEG, which is a meta game. It's a game within a game. So you give people objectives to do while you're already playing a game. So like you have to get somebody to hand you the rule book. But if they call you out going, oh, that's your thing, then you lose. And then they take your ID card. And there's a whole bunch of things like that.
So you need a pretense to ask for the rule book.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
Or it could be like, I get somebody to change the song that's playing, you know, it's like stuff like that. So
That's brilliant.
it's amazing. So it gives you extra objectives. And we have a reward system for our program. And I wanted to also give away to get people to bond more and have other chances to like get points. And so we started creating metagames. So like for our Clue night, I actually created a murder mystery within the night that
Why
people
wasn't I
got to
there?
do while they were playing like board games.
So cool.
For our Game of Thrones night, we actually built the wall and we assigned everyone that came in to one of 6 remaining houses for the current season. And then as you did things like if you buy specialty drinks or if you play games or win games, you earn points. Every time your house earned like 25 points, you got to put an army at one of the castles. And occasionally the White Walkers were attacking and we had built full-size custom White Walker die that people got to
my
throw in the
God.
bar. And
Yeah, Team Baratheon.
so
My
really,
favorite living house.
House Tully ended up winning. It was really funny.
Tully's a great house.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Don't want him to be king,
The,
but
the first two houses to get wiped out by the White Walkers were Lannisters and Starks, which I thought was very interesting.
Appropriate.
Starks makes sense. Lannisters, they got a buffer zone. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm surprised that the Tullys didn't get taken first.
We had a bunch of little fun things built in, like occasionally, like, you know, a war broke out between houses at Castle Black, and Daenerys' dragons went crazy and just
Yeah, it's the dragons that
Dracarys.
went crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, why
and
didn't
it was literally
Oh.
Dracarys, and like the entire army at Castle Black got wiped out. And it's funny because we did this within 4 days before the premiere of the season of Game of Thrones, and then watching them go
Yeah,
crazy,
watch it
I
go
was like,
nuts.
our metagame was real life.
Okay, just skip forward 30 seconds if you don't want spoilers.
Maybe skip for like 5 minutes.
Okay, but I can't go a single episode without talking about Game of Thrones. But you just gave me an idea. Maybe it wasn't Daenerys' fault at all. Maybe Drogon had the idea to burn down King's Landing. Okay,
Oh.
spoiler over.
Maybe they have some sort of like mental telepathy connection of like,
Shh. No, but that doesn't go. She needs the excuse.
oh.
Blame it on Drogon.
Which was
Hashtag
and
blame
his,
it on
his,
Drogon.
but I'm
his
saying,
motivation.
but like Drogon is like Professor X, where like he can control her mind.
Oh,
That's what
I
I'm
like
saying.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's good. All right, dwell on that, friends. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some games. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Victory Points. I'm Becca Scott, here with Jake Michels
Hey, Becca.
and Chelsea Schwartz.
Hello.
And we're talking about all kinds of stuff. No more Game of Thrones spoilers. I'm good, unless you guys have anything. Okay, we're going to talk about Disney's Villainous.
Woo!
Yeah.
Love this game.
This is a great game. By Ravensburger.
By Ravensburger.
Wonderforge, which is under the umbrella of Ravensburger.
Okay, good. Oh, yeah. I was like, that's not what I wrote down. By Wonderforge. And do you want to describe how Villainous works?
So in Villainous, you get to play one of 6 villains in the base game, or there's now an expansion with 3 additional villains. So
Rotten
there's
to
now
the core.
Yeah, nine options of villains you can play. What I really like about this game is that you are playing out the story of the villain you have, while also screwing with the other villains at your table so that they don't hit their objectives. But you're basically in charge of your own game. But it's turn-based. There's a little bit of like hand management going on. It's just the theming, the art,
Mhm.
every single villain is perfectly balanced in levels of difficulty. Except I feel like Queen of Hearts, she's absolutely mad, but like there's just a lot going on there.
You could get lucky with those card draws,
You
though.
really have to get lucky with Queen of Hearts. But yeah, it's a great game.
It is a great game, and I very much enjoy it. And what really impressed me is the working within limitations that the designers had to do, because they were told by Disney, we cannot shuffle a deck of Jafar cards into a deck of Queen of Heart cards. We just
Right.
cannot do that because that is
Can't mix the properties.
yeah, the properties have to remain separate. And they were like, what? Okay. I guess that's possible. Let us think about this. And they made a game where each villain acts independently, but you still have a take that mechanic, because if I move my piece and on the location I move to, it has a smite you symbol. I forget what we call
Destiny,
those.
I believe.
It's called Fate,
A fate.
yes.
And I had done fate you.
which is
I
a
give you
little
that.
lightning bolt in a cloud, and being high voltage. I very much like that. The Fate symbol is a lightning bolt.
Yeah, because that's the fun part is being able to take somebody down that you see is about to win.
Yeah.
And you do that by drawing the card.
2 cards from their Fate deck, the white deck. I was like in getting to choose one of the cards to put onto their board, which covers 2 of their action spots. It's amazing. It's really well done. I love in Prince John when you pull out Maid Marian because she's beefy to defeat, and then when you defeat her, immediately Robin Hood just replaces her, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah. And each character has an asymmetrical goal, or each villain. But what's interesting about that take that mechanic of the hero, the fate deck, is that each person has their own. So you're still not mixing those properties,
Yep.
but they're still interacting.
And it's well balanced too, because if you have a 5 or 6 player game, the fate token passes around, so you can't fate someone twice, so you don't feel like everyone's just picking on you because you had a better game.
Yes, and you've got to pick on somebody else in between.
Yeah.
Yes. My one issue with this game, and I don't like to pick on games, but it's my podcast, and so I will. It does take a little long to end sometimes when you have.
Sometimes it can run, and with the more and more players.
Exactly, and especially when you have players that are at the level where they're very aware of what other players are doing and watching your turn each turn. That. Everybody will gang up on one person, and then somebody else will get a little closer, and they'll gang up on them. And so this game you can be one turn away from winning, and then everybody fates you, and then it takes another hour of play.
But the amazing thing about that is usually when you're one turn away from winning in those games, almost everybody else is too. Yeah. So everyone starts fading everyone, and everyone just continuously is one more turn away from winning because something happened to them.
It's a pretty brilliant game design in how they've allowed themselves to be able to do expansions without interfering with any previous rules.
I love that they're wicked to the core. You don't need the base game for it. You can just play with those 3 villains. So brilliant.
Yeah. But I mean, if you play that enough, you're going to be like, but what other villains are there? It's so smart.
The endless amount of villains to come. Oh, I want Scar so bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And more
Gaston.
movies, more villains.
Yeah, exactly.
They are their own game within the game a little bit, too, which is really impressive.
Yes.
Yeah, I really liked that about it too. Like Prince John's game is wildly different from Jafar's.
Yes.
But they both are playing the same.
But also completely on point to their film,
Yes.
Yeah. So like if you're not a huge Disney fan, but you love Alice in Wonderland, you could still enjoy the game and just play as Queen of Hearts, and you'll get just as much excitement as being a hardcore Disney nerd like myself.
Yeah. Or just big croquet fans.
Right? Yeah. Or just simply mad,
Yes.
Do you find that it's an okay gateway game? Because I know that originally when they kind of showed it to us, they wanted it to be a really good gateway game because it was a Disney property. And I remember showing it to a few people, and they weren't overwhelmed by it because it looked easy, but then there's enough complexity in its strategy and in the tactics that it's like, oh, this isn't something you just kind of leap into.
I've now taught it to probably 200 people throughout like our various events.
Yeah, it's a good person to ask.
And a lot of the people look at it and just go, I don't know how this is going to work. And they feel that kind of overwhelm. And I always just go, no, I'm going to be here. I'll walk you through the whole thing. And after the second round, everyone's had a second turn. Everyone is just, I love this game. And some of those people, we had an Aladdin themed game night a couple weeks ago, and we showed Villainous as our featured game. And every single person that sat down had never played it before. And they all walked away going, where can I buy this?
Oh,
and
awesome.
You said, nowhere, it's sold out online. Sorry.
Well, we gave away a bunch of copies that night, too. So some people got lucky.
Oh, very fun. When you do that, do you get free copies from publishers to do those giveaways?
Yes, we do.
That's really
cool. So we work with publishers, and we offer a lot of social media promotion in exchange for what we're doing. And then, of course, a lot of love at the event. We encourage people at the events to tag and post about the publishers, too. And some of them do. It's nice. But yeah. A lot of those people at our events too, we get every level of gamer, from people that have only played like Uno and Monopoly to like hardcore strategy gamers.
Yeah.
So
that's good to hear. I was worried otherwise, but like it's great that it's still accessible like that.
Yeah, I've yet to come across somebody that actively did not like the game.
Cool.
Yeah. It's a great gateway game. I mean, I think it is a gateway game. You just put somebody on Prince John, whose only goal is to earn 20 coins.
Yeah, that is a good...
Which they think is going to be really easy to do.
No, definitely not. All right. Now, you're not just a casual Disney fan. You are a Disney nerd.
Absolutely.
What is a Disney nerd?
It's a term for people that are hardcore Disney fans. It's our fandom term. Like being a fan of Tolkien and Lord of the Rings is being a ringer, Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, we're ringers. I am also a ringer.
And how did the Instagram at Disney Observer come about?
So I spent a lot of time at Disneyland. I have an annual pass. It is my happy place. I'm a workaholic, as we've kind of talked about, and I decided I needed to start finding a way to at least take a day off every month. That's one day of every month, like not a one day a week. I was like, one day a month. That's where I'm going to start. And I chose that I would spend that day at Disneyland because when I'm at Disneyland, I will not check my phone for anything.
Oh.
And then that became more of like weekly, and then at some points it was daily when the Mad Tea Party was happening. I'd go down every night.
Whoa.
What's the Mad Tea Party?
The Mad Tea Party was an Alice in Wonderland inspired rock band that happened in California Adventure at nighttime, and they would do 4 sets, and it was everything from like Guns N' Roses and Prince to like Kelly Clarkson songs.
But this is all the things you love.
It's
Music
everything I
and
love.
nerddom.
Literally, they merged everything with Wonderland, which is my number one in the Disney movies. I was like, this is amazing.
So cool.
And so then I wanted an outlook, some sort of place that I could just talk about all my Disney stuff, because I felt like High Voltage and my personal branding was overwhelmingly Disney. So I started Disney Observer.
Oh, very fun. And you don't do that alone, right?
I don't. After the second year of running it, I decided to bring some other friends in because there's so much content to cover in Disney that it was like overwhelming. So now me and my friend Tiffany run the account, and we both kind of tag team on events and stuff.
Awesome. How many times is a normal amount of times for a sane person to go to Disneyland if you're living in Los Angeles per year?
A sane person or a Disney person?
Yeah, key detail there.
This is an intervention, is what this is.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
right,
your family called. They asked us to bring you in this podcast, and
I see.
just an intervention.
I mean, I would say for like a casual fan going a couple times a year, I was like, but I'm definitely there at least once a week.
Once a week.
Yep.
And we should mention that's an hour and a half drive, right?
If you're lucky, I've done it in 33 minutes without speeding.
Wow.
But traffic has to be right on point. I was like, otherwise it can take up to 5 hours
That's
if traffic
nuts.
is really bad.
Yes, definitely it can.
I'm a person that we had an annual pass, but it was a good excuse for when friends from out of town were in town anyway. It's like, well, you're going down to Disneyland. We would love to spend the day with you, but you're going to be there all day, so we'll go with you. And like we always had a really great time. I'm always curious about how people can go continually like that, because do you still get the same enjoyment every time? Or like, I mean,
Absolutely.
I know they do events there and stuff, but like, yeah, what is it about that
Every single
repetition?
time I've gone to Disney, I've done something I haven't done before.
Oh, wow.
There's constantly new things coming out at the park, from new food, like new, like they're like what's the word I'm looking for?
Redesigning?
Refurbishing, like rides, like Peter
Renovating.
Pan will get like better technology or whatever it is.
Peter
And
Pan's a great ride.
Peter Pan's amazing. And not to mention, I'm a very big proponent of I love taking people to Disneyland, that you should always pop your Disney cherry on something every time you go. I was like, so never try to fit everything in. I was like, it keeps the magic alive. And, and they're constantly giving us new shows and special events, and there's new merch that comes out. So like it stays fresh every single time I go.
I'm very impressed that you don't get so exhausted, because I went last week and I thought, this is it's too much for me. How do you mentally deal with crowds
people
as well?
that go to Disney without being someone like me that goes often, you try to fit everything into one day.
Yeah, and it becomes overwhelming.
And then that's like 16 miles you've walked at the end of the day and you're exhausted. I was like, I go and I'm like, today is about Pixar Pier. And I go and I have a nice leisurely lunch at Lamplight Lounge and like go ride a ride and like take some photos and hang out with my friend and catch up about life. Like, it's not about like writing everything and doing all the things. It's literally just, here's a place to hang out with people that I love.
That's a magical kingdom.
Yeah.
I do want to mention two different things. One, I forget the retitle, but the Tower of Terror is now Guardians of the Galaxy themed.
Yes.
And what's the name of the ride?
Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout.
Mission Breakout, yes. And it was excellent because that's my favorite ride, because I'm an adrenaline junkie and I
Me
need
too.
the most extreme way that you can move my body around. And so just falling, just a straight drop over and over
it's not
is
even
very
just
exciting.
a straight, it just does this, up and down, up and down. Like, your vertigo is all thrown off by the end of the ride.
It's excellent. I love being discombobulated in that way.
Yes.
But it also...
That and what used to be Californian Screaming, which is now the Incredicoaster, are the best rides,
that's
I
such
think.
a great roller coaster.
Yes, absolutely, because they're the most terrifying. And I had to go by myself because I went with one friend to Disneyland and he was scared of... anything scary. Even Space Mountain was a bit much. So, or now... Hyperspace
But
Mountain.
now back
Yes.
to Space Mountain, right?
No, they just went back to hyperspace
way.
right for this launch of Galaxy's Edge,
Makes
the
sense.
opening.
It's very cool. It's now
Yeah.
Star Wars themed with projection videos.
It's only for a limited time. It's like a few days.
But they just went back to Space Mountain recently, didn't they?
They went back like 6 months ago.
You just
and-
put up a cardboard sign in front of it and it's fine. It's easy to switch.
And then right before that, it was Ghost Galaxy, because they do Ghost Galaxy for Halloween time every year.
Cool.
Oh, neat.
See, this is something only a Disney insider would know
Absolutely.
about. But what I wanted to say about Mission Breakout is that I get so scared, especially back when it was Twilight Zone themed. There's just, oh my gosh, will I die on this ride? I don't know. In that moment, it's pulling back from the station. And so having it be my favorite trash panda guiding me through the experience, it brought in this like humorous element that was like, this is about fun, not about scary.
And the animatronic for Rocket is done really well. Like I actually feel like it's Rocket when I'm in there. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
put
they
a
did a
little
great
video
job
on
with
my
animatronics there.
on my Instagram story. I just put that little snippet while you're in the waiting room going up the elevator. Mm-hmm.
The production design in that whole area is really impressive. Like the waiting in line in Disney is a shockingly fun thing at times.
They put really a lot of thought into their cues to where
They really
everything
do.
is an immersive experience at Disney. And it's funny because when I started to become an annual pass holder, I'd also go to like Universal or Six Flags occasionally. And then I would get disappointed because I'd be standing in this really boring queue and I'd be staring at like metal scaffolding. And I was like, really? You couldn't put like a curtain here or something?
Yeah.
Like,
We take that for granted. Like I never think about the aesthetics of waiting in line. That's a thought I've never thought of in my life. And then when I'm in it for 45 minutes, you're like, oh wait, I'm in this really complex spaceport. That's really impressive. You know?
And Disney puts little Easter eggs into a lot of those. There's often a lot of things that are interactive that people don't know about.
Yeah.
Like in Indiana Jones, you can like pull a rope and you'll hear somebody screaming or like, stuff like that.
Yeah. So I also only recently found out last year about the hidden Mickeys.
Oh, yes.
Which-
those
In
are
Pirates
fun.
of the Caribbean or
They're-
everywhere?
They're everywhere.
Everywhere.
What? Hidden Mickey.
We're looking at
There's one in my coffee cup right now.
You kind of start to see them in every pebble that you see, though. You're like, is that one?
I heard somebody talking about it behind me on Pirates of the Caribbean, and there's this place where 3 barrels are tied together, and they were like, ooh, that's one. I was like, no, it's not. Shut up. Those barrels
a better one in Pirates of the Caribbean, right as you come out of the cave and you see the ship and stuff, the cannons shoot into the wall. There's a hidden Mickey of 3 cannon holes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's my favorite one.
One more news announcement. August 29th, 2019 is the official opening date for Galaxy's Edge, which is unofficially titled Star Wars Land.
August 29th is the opening date for Walt Disney World's Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, Google, you betrayed me.
May 31st is opening at Disneyland.
That makes a lot more sense why everybody's talking about it this week.
Yep.
Just dub that over so I sound smart. No.
We could just redo it.
Annalise will never do that. She's too honest. I'm a failure at Googling.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's just the opening for Walt Disney World's version.
It's because I Googled it while we were talking.
Yes.
Well, the Orlando listener base will appreciate it.
Yes, they will. Okay, well, that was for you, Orlando. Chelsea, tell us all about Galaxy's Edge, what you're excited about. Will you be there opening day?
I will be there opening day. I actually leave tomorrow to go check into my hotel and get all excited with everyone. There's like a group of like 24 of us that are all have plans to like hang out at Hearthstone and Trader Sam's on Thursday night and get excited before we have to start queuing at 2 a.m, which is insane.
Dear
And
God.
Do you bring a tent?
I'm not bringing a tent because we're staying on property at a hotel, but they're starting the merchandise line at 2 a.m. for the park opening at 8 a.m. And then the merchandise is being released outside of Galaxy's Edge. And then to enter Galaxy's Edge, you have to have a reservation, which our reservation is from 2 to 6 p.m., which I'm excited to go. So right now, only half of Batu, that's the land, will be open. The Rise of the Resistance ride is opening in August. I was like, but for now we have Smugglers Run, which is where you pilot the Millennium Falcon and you literally have 2 pilots that are going to be driving it. If they do a bad job, stuff's going to break and you have 2 engineers behind you that have to now fix the ship. I was like, and you have gunners that are also attacking stuff. And like everyone has their own role that you're assigned to. And I can't wait to do this.
So this is sort of breaking the mold of what a traditional ride can be. And so that's Smugglers Run and Rise of the Resistance. Explain that to me.
Rise of the Resistance is going to be a 28-minute long attraction.
What?
Yes.
How insane is that?
And it's fully immersive and interactive with real characters and animatronics. You go underneath, I believe, and at some point. Like it's ridiculous in the best possible sense, and kind of inspired loosely off of how LARPs would play, but in an actual Disney built immersive version, which Disney's been playing with LARPs. I was telling you before the broadcast for several years now. They had one called Legends of Frontierland years ago, which was their test waters in Frontierland, where you got to build your own character And literally the cast members that were in it with us helped us do whatever we wanted. So we got to like commandeer like attractions and be like, all of the legends are now going to ride Big Thunder Mountain right now. And it was amazing.
That's
we skipped the
fun.
line and I started High Voltage and Legends of Frontierland. That was my legend name. And I had there was 2 towns, Frontierland and Rainbow Ridge. And I started the first unified newspaper. And I would show up every day for our LARP with a newspaper called High Voltage of what happened the day before in the LARP.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And-
amazing.
Yes. So like Disney, like I'm really excited for this because that from Imagineering, that was supposed to be their test of what they wanted to create inside Galaxy's Edge. So besides Rise of the Resistance, you're also going to have every cast member in the land completely in character. And there's going to be people, depending on how you identify as dark side or Jedi or Sith or whatever, that like try to arrest you or talk to you differently. And like, I'm really excited.
Are you planning on Disney bounding at all? Because we talked a little about your fair weather about costuming, and we should explain that Disney bounding
Yes.
is what you do when you want to cosplay at Disney, but it's not permitted to do so.
Right, because if you're over 6, you can't wear a costume at Disneyland.
Because they'll think you're a cast member.
Is it a hard 6-year-old rule?
It's a
do
very
they
it's a
card
hard rule.
7-year-olds?
I don't think they're going to card you, but they'll look at you in age and height
They'll
and
put a
kind of
yardstick next to
yeah.
you.
Yeah, I am planning on Disney bounding for opening. I'm going to be an Ewok because I love Ewoks. And
That's adorable.
and I'm kind of short like one, so you know.
I'm going to be checking out at Disney Observer for that Ewok cosplay.
Yes.
I mean,
and
bounding.
Tiffany is bounding as Chewbacca.
Oh, amazing.
And we've got a couple of Han Solos in our party as well.
Good. To keep you on track.
Yep.
Reined in.
And for those also that don't know, Disney bounding is where you dress in the color scheme of a character, but it is fashion forward, fashion centric. So it's not about cosplay. It's just about taking solid colored pieces in your wardrobe and matching in the colors. So if I was Mickey Mouse, I would do black, red, and maybe some yellow highlights.
So what's an Ewok? Just gray?
A lot of brown,
Brown.
maybe orange for like the headpiece, depending on which Ewok you're going to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But is a headband with ears permitted?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whew. Whew.
All the
Okay.
Disney ears you want.
Oh, man. I could talk about Disney all
Is there
day,
someone
but
who like judges how close you're getting out of the boundings? It's like, all right,
There's no
those
judging
ears
in the
are a
bounding.
little-
Bounding
I mean, maybe
police.
there's judging on Instagram of people being like, yeah, I mean, you didn't really pull that one off. But like,
ouch.
Do you?
I
There's
hope
always those
not.
people.
yeah.
And we already established we don't care about them haters.
Yes.
I just wanted to, it's really cool that Disney is presenting LARPing to a mainstream audience. And I'm trying to tell the gatekeeper buried deep within my soul that LARPing doesn't just have to be cool because only we know about it. Everybody can have LARPing.
Everybody can have it. And I want to see more and more of it. There's a LARP I'd love to participate in LA that's all Wizarding World related. And like,
no big deal, but I did a LARP in Poland called the College of Wizardry. Chocha. It no longer exists. We did the last year.
but that's so cool though.
The college was destroyed.
By Dragonfire, coincidentally.
Daenerys?
Yeah, well, my favorite properties cross over in my mind constantly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that happened. All right. Now, we promised to talk about a couple more games.
Yes, let's do it.
So, final thoughts on Disney.
Well, I just want to know if there's one that is there a game you actually bring into Disney and will play in lines, or are you too immersed in the world to even bother that?
I haven't actually physically brought any games, although I've been wanting to bring the Snow White game from the Op-In and sit
Oh.
and have 7 of us bound as dwarves and sit,
Dude,
and
that's a
sit
great
inside
idea.
Gaston's tavern playing it.
Oh,
Yes!
Yeah.
You should pitch that to them. That's
Yeah.
a great idea.
Solid. Yeah. Yeah. You hear us, the op, Ross? Let's make this happen.
Or
Yeah,
Disney.
Ross.
All right. Also, I got a shout out to Heads Up. This was Ellen DeGeneres' app-based game.
Which we actually play a lot of at Disneyland.
Yes, it's the perfect Disneyland
That's a great-
line
yeah.
game.
Yeah.
And I really only think to use it when I'm at Disneyland. It's excellent. All you do is you hold up on your head the phone, which has a word or a phrase or an action, and everybody else tries to get you to do that thing. And
Or guess the word and
sometimes
however.
charade style,
Yeah.
sometimes sort of like taboo. The game, yeah, it's really, really fun.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about one of your favorite deck builders of late, Tanto Cuore by Japanime. This game has been out for a while. It's a game of collecting sexy maids, but they in 2016.
And most recently, we've got butlers now too.
Oh, finally.
Yes,
But-
finally the sexy men's.
Or sexy min maids. May I propose,
Like-
Japanime?
Pool boys,
Yeah.
which they now have. And
They do?
Yes.
I've only played the original.
oh, so there's 5 expansions to Tanto Cuore now, and the 5th one, Winter Romance, introduces butlers, which are our men's. Yes.
Good. Everybody needs to be collected.
Yes.
So this is, tell us a little more about the gameplay.
So it's pretty straightforward deck builder of you trying to collect the right set of cards to have the most victory points at the end of the game.
And victory points are love?
No, that's currency in the game.
Ah.
Yeah.
Victory
Love-
points are just victory
They're
points.
just victory points in the game.
Currency.
Love it is
Yeah.
currency.
To
band was that
play
by?
a card, that's a serving in the game. To buy a card from the market, that's employment. And love is currency.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay. It's a very strange game with beautiful artwork.
It is beautiful artwork by every version of the game. Every expansion features 11 different anime artists, like famous anime artists. But the artwork itself is very female highlighted with TNA. A lot of busty babes, especially when you get to the Oktoberfest expansion, which
What-
is all beer maids at Oktoberfest.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
And then the game end is triggered when a pile of one type
When
of maid you could
2
collect.
maid tiles are completed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what does TNA stand for?
Tits and ass.
Oh, tits in ass. Okay,
Yeah,
got it. Yep. I
Becca playing like she doesn't.
no, I didn't know there was a
Abbreviation for it?
Yeah. It took me a while to
You
figure out
didn't
the
see a chorus line?
I didn't. It took me a while to figure out that D&D in relation to Game of Thrones is not about a crossover between Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. So I'm slow on the
It's all right.
abbreviation
I
game.
just leared that one myself last week.
Yes.
Wait, I don't know this.
David and
And
Dan.
DB, yeah.
Because we're all very mad at David Benioff and DB Weiss.
Sure,
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm my anger is softening every day, little
Hey,
by
we
little.
made it 20 minutes that time. That was pretty good. Wasn't bad.
I can't go 20 minutes in my life without talking about
To
Game
be
of
fair,
Thrones.
she talked about her LARP in Poland, and then I said Daenerys when you said
Yeah,
dragon.
that's
so,
true. We baited her.
So we maybe got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Why are
Well, I did say Dragonfire.
Yeah.
why are deck builders so fun?
I don't know,
They're so
but I
satisfying,
love them.
aren't they?
Yeah, I was like, there's so many, like, oh my god, Hogwarts Battle from the op as well. That is such a great cooperative deck builder in
With
the
the
Harry
leveling
Potter
up,
world. Yes,
element.
and you go through each school year, and like it's done so well.
Oh, yes. I love deck builders too. And I couldn't tell you why. It's something about engine building, and you can test against yourself and how well you did last time.
I think it's also just because I get so much decision making of like what goes into my deck that just I feel very empowered of like this is my game and my strategy.
I'm in control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas like, Villainous, you're not building a deck. I was like, you're just hoping that you get the right cards
Yeah.
out. Whereas at least I know, there's that card in my deck and I haven't seen it come up yet. That might come in the next round. Like
One of my favorite things as a kid playing Magic the Gathering was like the
I've
deck
never heard of it.
the deck building part of it, but it was such a solo experience, right? And I actually liked that a lot, but you did it by yourself all the time and you're like, okay, this is gonna be good when I get a friend to play this with.
Right.
But that's what's great
and of
about
course
deck building.
now
It
with
all
Magic, you've got
happens-
giant drafting events that you
Right.
can go to and do it with other people.
Right. But like now you get to do that as part of the game. And like that never occurred to me as like a possibility as a kid. And now I really love that element to
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
And I love the currency of love.
Yes.
If only we could
Funny
all.
enough, the mechanic in Winter Romance is also about coupling maids and butlers. So you're trying to form relationships between your staff now.
Okay, so it's matchmaking. Not okay. Okay, yeah.
And for those of you out there that have looked at the artwork for Tanto Cuore or Japanime titles in general, and it has thrown you off because maybe it's too risque for you, I have to say I was the same way until I actually sat down to play the game one day, and then I fell in love with the game. So get past the artwork. It's just artwork. The mechanics of the game are fantastic.
And then you're gonna start to love that TNA. You know what I mean? Once you let that TNA into your life, You just become all about that TNA.
Like, are you a TNA?
I mean, I started to want to dress like the maids in Tanto Cuore after I started playing the game for a while. Like, it just subconsciously, I was like, I kind of want to go to Anime Expo. I kind of want to go to the Maid Cafe now. Like,
Oh, yeah. Maid Cafe in Tokyo?
yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about this. This is just a maid-themed restaurant where you pay by the minute, I believe, to have sexy maids serve you
you.
coffee.
Yep.
Well, someday we'll all collectively, everyone who listens to this podcast, take a little trip to the Maid Cafe together.
Yeah, let's
always
do it.
wanted to
Let's find
order-
a butler cafe.
Yeah. A butler cafe. I want him to have like a
Chippendale
butler
style.
uniform, but with like assless chaps
Yeah.
kind of style. Yeah. That's what you meant by Chippendale.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And a bow tie.
Yep.
What's your dream, Jake?
Oh. That's what I have to follow up with my dreams.
Yep.
I've always wanted to hire the maids that we see, the sexy maids that we see advertised around Los Angeles, but then just have them clean the house and not even be
Topless
there.
Maids actually is the
Not
brand you're
even be
referring
there.
to.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
I'm not going to even be at the house. Just make sure to really get the living room up top by the counters.
Cool.
I want them really well dusted.
Nice meeting you.
Thank
See
you.
you guys
Do you
later.
need me to take
Bye.
my top off? Yes, I would
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. Oh, you're gonna do that still. I'm
Right?
just not gonna be present.
The idea of you being topless is enough for me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wait till I leave before you take your shirt off.
I'm very
but
comfortable
please.
at the park knowing you're topless in my
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
I would like for you to be the most comfortable while you clean my house.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I get it. That's
The most
what
free.
that company's about.
Yeah.
Okay. And your wife is cool every time you hire topless maids?
She also will be out of the house.
Nobody's gonna. Okay.
My house is gonna be clean, Becca. That's the point.
The point is a clean house. Yeah,
Clean house.
100%.
Yeah, that's the point.
Anyway, pink truck van. You'll see it around Los Angeles. If you want the number, it's
On the side.
on the
Yeah.
side of the van.
That is the selling point for tourism in Los Angeles is to find the topless maid truck. That
There's one more game I want to talk about that I've just watched a fun little video from the Rules Girl about, but have not played yet myself. It's called Push.
Push from Ravensburger. Yes.
What's Push?
Push is a push your luck game. It's a card game that looks like Uno, but is not Uno at all.
Could you play it with Uno cards?
No, but the cards just look like Uno cards because they're numbers and color based. And you're basically set collecting as you go, but pushing your luck in order to get those cards to set collect. I was like, and if you push too far, you don't get any cards, but everybody else gets to take cards.
Ah.
So you have a number of stacks equal to the number of players?
Not to the number
Not
of players.
necessarily.
I was like, it's you can build stacks up to 3 piles. So you turn over a card from the deck and you put it down, and then you pull. If you want to keep going, you take the next card that's pushing your luck. If it's not the same color or number, you can put it on that pile, or you can start a new pile. But you can only start up to 3 new piles. So if you pull a 5, a 5, and a 5, and then you decide to push your luck and go for another one, and it's a 5,
Oh, no.
you've gone too far.
You're done.
And so you don't get any cards, and you have to roll the dice, and whatever color you land on, you have to discard every color of that card, every card of that color that you have.
Now, for those 3 piles full of 5s, does the next person have to grab a stack or can they keep flipping?
The next person grabs a stack, and everybody grabs it like in order until the stacks are gone. And then the next person does the same thing, and they
Okay.
start building piles. Now you can stop pushing your luck at any point and just be like, I'm just going to take this pile now.
But it's a smaller pile. If you wait for...
Not necessarily. I mean, I've gone to where the pile has like 7 cards without busting, and then I'm like, and here we go.
Yeah,
I
Thank
like
you.
that's
how
when
in the
you want it.
theoretical scenario you're already like,
I'm
no, we
pushing
need
my
to
luck.
keep
No, we
going.
need to keep going,
we
everybody.
have to.
Oh, so when we've played this at our events, this is now the number 1 game at our game nights. Everybody wants to
Really?
play Push all the time. You start hearing people in a back corner every night just going, push, 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 push.
Oh, I love it. It's like, and that person happened to be giving birth, but the people at the next table were playing Push.
Yeah, exactly.
Natural birth in a bar. I love this game. And you know what? I've realized it reminds me of one of my old favorite games that I used to talk about and play all the time.
Which is?
Farkle.
Oh, I don't
Oh,
know
wow.
Farkle.
That's
Farkle
a
is-
Midwest
it's
callback.
just dice.
Farkle is the name of a character in Girl Meets World.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Maybe that's what they're named after. Did they push their luck a lot?
Not really.
Well, this game is just dice. It kind of reminds you of like Yahtzee a little bit. You're rolling, and you can keep as many dice of your roll of 6 dice each time that you want, or you can re-roll as many as you want. And then whenever you're happy, you stop. And the points have point values for a straight or 3 of a kind or 4 of a kind. Pairs don't get you anything unless you have 3 pairs, and it's very much push your luck because you can just keep re-rolling, but once you've locked a die, it's totally locked, unless all 6 of your dice have values, and then they're exploding dice, and then you can re-roll everything. And there's a house rule I like to play with where the next person, instead of resetting, going to 0 points, can piggyback and try and roll just the one that's left over and take those points. And this is a game that I didn't realize was actually marketed. One of the bigger companies puts it out. I forget who. Somebody that we all know. I'm gonna maybe starts with an H.
She just made that up. Maybe not.
But it was a game that I played just at parties, just with 6 dice and a piece of paper. I didn't actually realize it was marketed by anyone for a while, and I love to push the. I say always push the luck.
Play
Have you also played Ink and Gold then? It's a great push your luck game.
Yeah.
Oh, tell me more.
So Ink and Gold has sort of like a Indiana Jones vibe of like cave exploring for artifacts. I was like, in every turn you can decide whether you want to go deeper into the cave
And it's card
or run
based?
out. It's card based.
I have played that. Oh, yes. Oh, that's a fun one. Yeah, and the cave might start to crumble behind you if you go too deep into the cave, right?
If you pull like 2 cards of like either crumbling, or it could be 2 snake cards, like you've encountered snakes or whatever. Yeah,
you don't want to get bit by a snake. That's
Yeah.
dangerous. You'll die inside of a cave. You may be rich, but you'll be dead.
Snakes. I have a really crazy, like when I play this game, the second a snake card comes out, I get out of the cave no matter what happens. I'm just like, I don't do snakes,
No
guys.
snakes, no
I'm out.
snakes.
I'm out.
In real life as well?
Yeah, in real life, I just literally, so one of my first dates I ever went on with Will, back when we were dating, we went to the LA Zoo, and he was like, let's go to the reptile house. And I was like, I can't, no, I don't want to go in there. And he's like, no, it'll be fine. I'm with you. And I was like, I don't think you understand. Like, I really just should not go in there. And so then like we walk in, and like you've got exhibits on the right and the left side of you. And I was walking as middle in between the exhibits as you could be, like, no. And if anybody got in my way, I just stood there until somebody moved, because I wasn't getting closer to. And after like 20 feet in, he was like, oh, you really have a problem. Okay, let's get you out of here.
Yeah.
I just, nope.
So would you say that you, in a push your luck game, you're a little safer of a player?
No, I usually push my luck, just not when it comes to snakes.
If there are snakes involved,
yeah, I'm just out.
You're
Got
out
it.
of luck.
Okay.
Even snakes on paper, I'm out. Yeah.
Paper snakes, no deal.
How are
Hypothetical
you
snakes,
on
I'm out.
Chutes and Ladders? If it's snakes and ladders,
I have not played that game since I was like 6 or 7. Actually,
Well, it's not a real game, so
Yeah.
How are you with
put a pin in it.
the Jafar turning into a snake
yeah,
card?
not okay with that.
Not,
That's-
not your favorite villain in
when
Villainous?
They had Aladdin, a musical spectacular at Disneyland California Adventure for a long time.
Oh yeah, I've
This-
seen
And
it.
every time
Yeah.
it went into the snake thing, I'd be on my phone like, it's not happening right now. Like I can't do snakes.
It's a legit phobia.
Which is funny because I'm a Slytherin.
Oh.
Which I
You're
have
not a parcel tongue,
Pottermore
though.
wise?
yeah, Potter-wise, I've been sort of into Slytherin, and I'm totally a Slytherin. I'm ambitious. Green is my favorite color. Like,
Yeah.
I whenever there's merch that has the snake on it, I'm like, could we just not highlight the snake? Like,
Yeah, let's highlight the green part.
Yeah.
I must say, I often get called out. I am a Gryffindor by Pottermore. Legit methods. It's been determined. And I have a Slytherin hat because I like green. It's
Yeah.
it's a good color.
It
you
is a
know?
good color.
It's a solid color.
I'm also a big fan of Loki, and Loki's a lot of green and gold and black as well.
Yes.
Everything I love tends to be
Mischievous.
green. Yes.
Clever
Yes.
and mischievous. Love it. All right. Well, friends, we've come towards the end of our podcast, but I do have a final question
Okay.
that is kind of related to the topic we were talking about before. But if someone is not in Southern California and they want to find a board game community,
Mhm.
how would you recommend they go about doing that?
I think the best place I've discovered for gamers is meetup.com. Meetup, no matter where you are, you can put in your zip code and find what's going on around you. And it's absolutely free to the user. Organizers have to pay a small fee to do it. I was like, and there's so many nerds on Meetup. And it doesn't matter where I've gone in the country. If I'm traveling somewhere, I'll search on Meetup to be like, oh, is there a board game thing happening? And there's always something there. So I would definitely recommend starting with Meetup if you're having trouble locating something, or visit your local friendly game store.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Friendly local game store. Your FLGS.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now I'll ask Jake first, but this is the question we like to ask every episode. What is something totally random that we haven't talked about yet that you would recommend to listeners? Something you're watching, something you're playing, something you're doing, something you're thinking about. Jake, you got anything?
I was going to talk about breakfast again.
Okay, talk about breakfast.
No.
This morning for breakfast, Jake had a burrito with sweet potato and
Yum.
a smoothie. Was it a green smoothie?
It had greens in it.
That makes it a
including
green-colored
broccoli and
smoothie.
spinach. But broccoli in a smoothie is a rough go.
Yeah, that is a
That's
rough go.
crazy.
I
I do
regret
love
it every
spinach,
time.
though.
I'm like, I'm going to add the nutrition in here. And then every time I taste it, I'm like, why'd I do this?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to talk it can't be gaming related.
It can't be?
It can be.
Hmm.
I'll tell you.
Like if you want to talk about a book or something else. feel
I mean, if you don't have anything, I'll start.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
I recently saw Rocket Man. Everyone's
Oh, yeah.
got to go see Rocket Man. I'm telling the entire world, this is the movie. It's not going to get praised the way Bohemian Rhapsody did. It is not a traditional biopic. It will get praised the way that La La Land and Greatest Showman did because it is a musical fantasy. And it's fantastic.
I thought that's such a cool choice.
Yeah,
And a
it's-
good one, too. Instead of just doing another biopic, they
Yeah.
actually went for it as like a whole musical.
And Elton was involved in the development. He wanted them to really show how raw and human and gritty his life was. And like, so you see the addiction and the bulimia and the anger management and all of the other stuff that came out of it. His music is used to highlight pivotal moments of his life, including early childhood developments and stuff. The casting is on point. The soundtrack is phenomenal. Even Richard Madden's incredible. It's what's really funny to me is the two biopics we've recently gotten, Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man, both bands managed by John Reed. So now John Reed has been depicted in two back-to-back films.
Whoa.
First by Littlefinger and now by Rob Stark. Back
Brought
to
it
Game
back
of
to Game of
Thrones.
Thrones. That's all I ask. Bring everything back to Game of Thrones is all I ask.
As long
in
as you
life.
can do it.
Yes. And out of the two, I think Richard Madden did a better job. But Rocket Man, go see it.
Yeah. It just came out at the time of this recording, right? Was it last week?
It comes out this Friday. So by the time this comes out, it'll have been out for about a
So
week.
did you get to see it in advance?
I did. I see a lot of things in advance being media.
Whoa, being
Fancy.
media.
Jake, did you think of something?
Yeah, get
Okay.
outdoors this summer.
Love it.
Dear
You've been traveling.
God, I've been traveling more than I normally do in the great state of California because
road
I kind
tripping.
of forget how many awesome things are close to me. And I just
I'm right. Thank you.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, you're right here. But in general, like there's forests out there that are within driving distance of you. And if you live in a forest, then duh. If you don't live in a forest, get out there. That's really my main recommendation. Is like I don't go to
I
the
was
national
having this
parks.
conversation the other day about how much I want to go to Yosemite. I haven't been since the 90s,
Just
and I
went-
loved
been.
it.
Just went 2 weeks ago with low expectations, and I had my mind blown.
It's my
Low
favorite national park.
expectations?
because I kind of forgot that they're grandiose. Like
Yeah.
these places are amazing.
Did you not see Free Solo? El Capitan is intense.
Yeah, well, it's
Donwall, baby.
when you go to the base of it, it's really intense too. And you're looking at it from the meadow, it's insane.
Mhm.
Yeah. Did you lie down? Because my neck would hurt if I craned up like that.
No, we didn't lie down, but we could see people up there, which is a trip because you're just
Wow.
little, red or white dots depending what climbing clothes they're wearing, and it's just
That's insane. Well, I went to Huntington Gardens last week, which is a beautiful botanical garden in Pasadena, California. Highly recommend. But I'm going to have to say my recommendation is a man named Andrew McClay. He is a background actor on Game of Thrones. He's been a Stark guard
Nice.
for several years. And
Brought it back
the-
to Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. I live and breathe Game of Thrones, and now I don't know what to do. Just like Kit Harington, who checked himself into rehab. It's very sad.
I did not hear about that.
Yeah, I just read an article yesterday. I think when you have
Which
something
house
that's
are you, Becca?
that
Game of Thrones house.
Targaryen.
Okay.
You
I'm
know,
Stark.
like everyone is.
I'm a Stark.
I get that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue. Gardens, background
oh,
actor. Yes.
Just wanted to say that The Last Watch is the HBO documentary that focuses on the crew and specifically follows Andrew McClay. Not just him, but he's a big part of it. Who was this background actor?
To follow a background actor in a documentary, so awesome.
He is
Thank you
the
for
hero.
highlighting BG.
It's beautiful, and he is just a beautiful human being. And now I am a very big fan of that gentlemen.
Nice.
So highly recommend. It's pretty slow. It's a lot of in the weeds. If you're in production, it's very interesting seeing how like the mundane activities of the food truck that is up all night on the night shoots with them and stuff like that.
Go on.
But yeah, but
the food trucks
I
on a lot
see
of these sets.
Burrito options.
Ooh.
Did they talk about the crazy amount of celebrity cameos that are in like the wildlings and the walkers and stuff?
no, they talked about. They interviewed
Crazy
several
conditions.
interviews. It was a lot of. It also followed the Master of Snow.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
The guy who is in charge of placing snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was also a big part, and it's
That's
just
so awesome.
so incredibly grueling and intense, and it just reminds
Three
you how
cheers
much
for
goes
the
into it.
crew on every TV and film that is out there and podcast and whatnot. There is so much amazing behind the scenes, minute detail that happens. Kudos, everyone. You guys deserve way more praise than everyone gives you.
Very
Aw, but now we've given it to you, so now we're done.
true. You got it.
That's her sentiment, not mine.
Chelsea, you're amazing, and it was so
You are
nice
too,
to talk
Becca.
to you today.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Jake, you're pretty
As
great.
always, Becca, I feel great.
It's a great day. All right, friends, go out there and play some games. And remember to tell your friends to listen to Victory Points and make sure you like and subscribe and click all the buttons and tell people about us. Okay, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.